Hello, hello. It says I'm live. We'll see. I never know if I'm live until I start seeing the comments or the chat starting. Um, but welcome, everybody. This has been a crazy week, a very crazy week. And for me, it was the culmination of 5 years. 5 years. Okay, I'm getting nervous because I don't have a single chatter, and I'm wondering, am I live right now? Let's see. No, it says I'm live right now. It says I have live viewers. Okay, there you are. Okay, I was getting worried. But yeah, I finally, for those of you who watch my channel, you know I've mentioned it often that I have been working so hard to reach 100,000 subscribers. And I made it. I made it on Wednesday, and then it went backwards. And then finally I got the official notice on Thursday, yesterday. So on the 7th, November 7th, 2024 will be a pivotal date for me. Hello, welcome in, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me. I don't have anything like scripted or planned, or it's not a sale. It's just like I'm just here to connect with you because I am super aware that you are the reason that I made it this far. And my chat is a subscriber only chat. So I should watch and see if my number goes up so that people can leave a comment. And I'm not talking like, okay, I'm just going to get it out there. So there literally was a campaign of people who were making sure that they weren't subscribed to me. They were unsubbing in order that I didn't make the number. They were working very hard to see that I didn't make the number, as sad as that is. So that's why. Subscriber only chat. Thank you, everybody. And I am not a toot my own horn kind of person. Like, it's been one of the hardest things throughout my entire kind of public life is that in marketing, you need to let people know you exist. And to do that, you kind of need to be out there and talking and, you know, on social media and all this stuff. And it, like, that was like never my thing. I'm not you know what I'm saying? So it's been a very long road for me to get to 100,000. And I'm super excited that I did it the hard way. Like, not everybody does it the hard way. Some people, they get boosts from others. Some people actually pay for subscribers. No, I have done none of those things. You guys are here and you subscribed because I put the content out and you liked what you saw and you wanted to be part of it. And I really appreciate that so much, more than words can say, because YouTube literally changed my life. And for me, YouTube, the way things went was an absolute answered prayer in my life. And I wanted to talk about that a bit, not like getting all, you know, religious or anything, just that most people don't know what I have been through to get where I am. And gosh darn it, I am taking this accomplishment and this moment and saying, you know what? I worked my behind off to get here. And I did earn it. I earned it. And I am proud of myself for that. And I say that, again, it even feels like uncomfortable to let those words out of my mouth, but I do it because I want you to do the same thing. I want to be a role model. I want to inspire you. If you're kind of in that same place I am, and you don't feel like your work has got you to where you are, if you're thinking that you don't deserve to say you earned it, I'm here to tell you, you earned it. Um, this is a lot of hard work, a lot of hard work. Um, so I've actually been on YouTube. Gosh, okay. Here's like, I don't know what's my oldest video. I'm gonna go back and try. What is my oldest video? See if somebody can find it before me, because I don't know how to sort these. Stand by. I'm gonna find this. Because I know I can go to videos. Oldest. I can go to the oldest. There we go. 12 years. 12 years I've been on YouTube. But I didn't start out as the niche lady. I started out as the Danny app. And even before YouTube, I started out on Facebook and other places because I wanted to teach people. I wanted to teach people how to have some independent income. Actually, it's really started with my mom. I don't know if my mom is here. No. Oh my God, my nose is running, you guys. Okay, stand by. Okay, that's better. Like the things you have to do off camera. I started off with my mom in the whole teaching realm of things. I've been doing eBay since 1998. I can tell you where I was the moment I found out about eBay. I raised horses and I had a big arena, and I would have to rake my arena, and I would do that by hitching my truck up to a grader and pulling it around like you would a tractor. Only I just used my truck. So I have the radio going, and I'm, just tootling around and listening, and the news of the day comes on, and they talk about this new company that had gone public, meaning now stock was available, called eBay. And I'm listening going, what? Okay, this sounds fascinating. And I finished up really quick. I don't even think I did a really good job at that point. I finished up and I ran inside and I turned on my computer and I went to ebay.com. And kind of the rest is history. I was like, oh my gosh, they made this for me. Because I was setting up at antique fairs and flea markets and doing yard sales with friends. And so it just opened up like a whole new world for me because I was already doing reselling, just not online. And then I kind of learned and took, we call this the good old days of eBay, but for those of you who are within the last decade of being on eBay, let me tell you, it started out, number one, we didn't have digital cameras. We had film cameras. So you had to, if you wanted pictures, you didn't need pictures back then. You didn't even need pictures. You could list up and it would sell. People would just buy it. So if you wanted pictures, if you wanted to upscale yourself, which of course I was all about it, you took the pictures, you went and got them developed, and then you had to scan them into your computer and hope that you got the right shot, right? Because you never know until that film comes back. So that was the early days. People would pay by mailed checks. Like, such an honor system, right? People would literally just mail you a check and then you mailed the items. That is how eBay began for me. And so I learned it. I learned it well. I had a lot of fun with eBay in the beginning. And through the years, it became eBay back then. It was like a culture. Those of us in the eBay world, weird. It was like a club. It was like a secret handshake kind of club, you know. And it was a community, and eBay was built on community, and that's what made it like so great. We all could share and talk about that thing that we loved so much. You know, it was, and it was really the passion of the treasure hunt and the finding the things to sell, and sharing the success stories. I started buying storage lockers and working for uh, um, an auction house. Sometimes words just don't get to my brain. So I was working for an auction house and buying storage lockers and doing all of these things. So it was like, it was great. I loved it so much. And I thought, wow, like, do people know that they can do this and make a living? Like, this is great. Now, granted, I was married back then, and it wasn't the pay the bills money. It was the fun money. It was the take the trip money. It was the, you know, we need a second car money. That's what eBay did back then. Fast forward a little bit, my mom at the time was still working outside of the home, and she was a caretaker. And so she would go to people's houses, and, you know, I talked to her, and she's telling me how sorry, I'm just making sure we don't have any problems over on Facebook. Okay. I don't like when something just says Facebook user, and I have a feeling that that is my StreamYard software and not a Facebook thing. I'm just saying. So my mom was talking about these people wanted her to clean out their refrigerators and do their laundry and scrub their floors, and like she became like a housekeeper more than a caretaker. And you know, she's telling me like going up and down the stairs with these, you know, bags of groceries, or like it was killing her. And so that was an ongoing conversation with my mom. And then one day she was asking me about trying to find a certain kind of yarn that she needed to finish a baby blanket. She'd run out of this particular yarn. It was a discontinued yarn, and she needed another skein of it. And I'm like, Mom, have you searched on eBay? And we would talk through Skype, because by this time I had moved away from her. She was in Arizona. I think I was up in, was I already in like Reno? I don't even know where I was, but we were a state away. So we talked through Skype. And I'm like, Mom, have you looked on eBay? And she's like, no. And so I started doing a search for this yarn, and it's like, holy moly. I was like, Mom, do you see the prices this yarn is going for? And not just that yarn, but discontinued yarns in general. I'm like, how much yarn do you have in that craft room of yours? She goes, a wall? I'm like, why don't you sell on eBay and get rid of that stupid job? And my mom's first response was, oh, I could never do that. Like, no. And I'm like, why not? She goes, oh, I can't do technology. I can't do it. And she was adamant that she was not going to be able to sell on eBay. And so that became a challenge for me. I'm like, Mom, I'm going to teach you. I'm going to teach you how to sell on eBay. And I proceeded to teach her through Skype how to sell on eBay. So she started listing her yarns, craft things. Then she crossed over and started listing on Etsy as well. She was doing eBay. She was doing Etsy. In 6 months, she quit that job. She quit the caretaking job and now was just doing her online selling. And so my mom was my first success story. And in my brain, I was like, oh, if I could teach my mom, I can teach anybody. And so I set off to do just that. I started going around, talking at the conferences, connecting with people, teaching people how to build eBay businesses. And back then it was like eBay was it. Like eBay was the thing. There really wasn't much else but eBay until about the last You know what? I really have trouble keeping track of time. I'm going to say 10 years. Like when did Etsy open up to more than just crafts and craft supplies? Anybody know what year that was, when that was? Started, didn't I? You guys are saying that I started an hour early. I thought I said it to start at 2 o'clock. Did I boo-boo? I might have boo-booed. That's probably why nobody was here, like right when I started. I've been releasing my videos at 2. So I'm sorry. My bad. Yeah, maybe I did say that. Oh, goodness. All right, well, we'll just keep going. I might have messed that up. I really might have messed that up, but that's okay. We're here now. Um, your family thought you were nuts until one day your hubby brought in the checks, right? Yeah, crazy stuff. So I went on to like I can teach people this. I can teach people this. People don't have to be suffering in a job they hate or not having a little extra money to do what they want to do. Like anybody can do this. Anybody can do this. And so that's what I did. And then it was on one of those like podcasts. I was a guest, another person was a guest, and the other person was asked, what app do you use when you're out sourcing, looking for things? That's what we called it. We called it sourcing. And they said, oh, I use the Danny app. They meant that like they would, call me or text me and like send me a picture and say, what is this? Should I buy this? And it was like a joke, and it kind of stuck. And I'm like, it's got kind of a nice ring to it. So when I started the channel 12 years ago, I started it as the Danny app. But I soon found that people were confused by that, and they kept asking where they could find my app. And I'm like, I don't have an app. I am the app. So that went on until it'll be 5 years in December that I rebranded as the Niche Lady. And the reason I rebranded as the Niche Lady was because I was always teaching people to develop a niche or a niche. I've always said niche. My family has always said niche. So that is what comes natural to me. I know like a lot of people say niche, it doesn't matter to me. But you'll hear me say it both ways because I am a people pleaser and I try to make everybody feel comfortable. So I have been on stages teaching this for years and years, that the best way to build and grow a business is to develop a line of products, and this counts for the used products as well, that a particular set of customers is going to be attracted to. That is your niche. And there are as many niches as there are numbers to count. So I have been teaching this for a very, very long time. So it kind of was like a natural, like, oh yeah, I'm the niche lady. A lot of people don't think that I have a niche, but I absolutely do. And it's not based as much on the actual products as it is the customer. So I did get some mentoring from other YouTubers who had been successful. And, 2019, we're getting ready for a new year. Things are looking good. We go into 2020 and, well, you all know what happened in 2020. But it was a blessing in many ways for me. Was it a horrible year? Yes. But out of it came some really good stuff. My channel did really well because what were people doing? They were home. They couldn't go to work. They couldn't go to school. They couldn't do anything. They were watching the TV. They were watching YouTube. And so my channel took off in 2020. I remember going in January of 2020. I went to one of our local meetups. Katie and Vicky, who they are also YouTubers. They do a show on Sundays and they share their numbers and they're very transparent and talk about what's sold and why they think it's sold and all of that. They are also the creators and organizers of the Boss Reseller Remix here in Las Vegas. And so, where was I going with that? Oh, yeah. They had a meetup group, like an in-person meetup group here in Vegas. And it was a goal setting. It was like, everybody write down and share your goals for 2020. My goal for 2020 was to get to 10,000 subscribers. And it was a good year. I got to 15,000 subscribers in 2020. And that was huge. When you set a goal and you meet your goal and surpass your goal, that's a really good feeling. And that was really a driving force for me. I was like, oh, this is cool. I can do this. And so in case you didn't know, YouTube has a program where you can get paid for creating videos. While you, the viewer, don't pay anything, advertisers pay to have their advertisements on your videos, just like commercial TV. It's the same thing. So when you watch TV and you see commercials, those advertisers are paying to have a spot in that TV show. It's the same thing with YouTube, and they pass a portion of that on to the creators. I know, Don, I messed up. I was so I had 2:00 my time in my brain so hard that I just got on here and I went live. So here I am early. But this way I don't run into your Niche Shopping Network sale that's happening 4:00 my time, 7:00 your time. So I started making a little bit of money. I think I was breaking like $100 a month at that point, from YouTube, which is yeah, this is cool. But the bigger part was that I was reaching more people that I could teach to do what I do. That to me was amazing. And that's kind of what ended up blossoming out of it, was that I kept getting the comments and the emails and the messages about people who were trying their hand at reselling. A lot of people had lost their jobs. It was a really tough time from 2020 to about 2022. And it was scary times. And there is really something about being able to take control of your income in a way that makes you feel a little bit more hopeful, that I was able to pass on to people. I'm like, yeah, you can do this. You can do this. If my mom can do this, you can do this. You can be a reseller. So I just kept going, and I was doing daily content back then. That's what I was told was the way to do it. You got to do a video every day. And I did videos every single day for the first, I went to every other day about a year ago. So almost 4 years of putting out a video every single day. And I got to tell you, I was tired because a video, you've got to go film it. You've got to edit it. For me, I have to do research on everything that I buy and give that information. So each video takes a total of about, if you count everything, 7 to 8 hours. 7 to 8 hours per video. That's a full-time job and some right there. And I was still reselling, and I was still doing so many other things. But I'm not complaining at all. I'm a worker bee. It's what I do. If you are over on Facebook, this is streaming over on YouTube on the Niche Lady channel. So come on over. I do multicast over to my Facebook page. For those who haven't found me over on YouTube, but I do invite you over to YouTube. That's where the main chat is taking place. Yes. Carol says, "Hi, Danny. I haven't seen you on here for a while. Do you mean just live? Because my videos have been coming out 3 to 4 times a week." I've had people tell me that they don't see my videos anymore. We'll get to that in a minute. I know why. We'll get there. It's a progression. So that was really like why I really went into the YouTube wholeheartedly. And then, it is always in my nature to want to help people and raise people up. And so I thought, okay, I want to start helping other YouTubers too. Like, I'll share what I have learned, what I know. I don't know it all, believe me, but someone mentored me. I wanted to mentor others. And then, as you know, in 2022, toward the end, I rented a space and opened up a brick and mortar. And I had a goodly amount in savings at that time from YouTube. And so I wanted to open that up because I wanted a place where we could all film without worrying about music, or we could not worry about, we still had employees here at the Goodwills telling us we couldn't film because Goodwill has this antiquated rule on the doors that says no filming. So you had to get permission every time you went, and some managers would flat out say no. That's gone now. I'm happy to say that myself, Tiffany, Thrifting Vegas, we have worked really hard with the executives at Goodwill to understand that we do good for you. Like, we bring you business, and they get it now. So that's by the wayside. We have open access for filming. If we could still get the music turned down, that would be great. But a lot of managers are still very resistant to that. But so one of the things was I did want to have a safe space to film in case it came to where, Goodwill just put their foot down and said no at some point. And then I'm like, gosh, you know what? I can bring my friends into this with me, and we can make this whole production, and we can do this fun stuff. And that didn't work out so good because what I've learned too is YouTube changes people. It changes people. And I'm not going to go into details, but I lost several friends through that. They say don't mix business and friendship, and I understand now what's meant by that. I don't hold any animosity. I wish everybody the best and love and success. Life's too short to hold bad stuff for people. It's like, cut ties, and I wish you well, and there we go. But being the very, very super trusting person that I am, I got quite a few people who wanted to take advantage of what I had. Because I opened the store and it appeared that somehow I was this wealthy woman that, I could just give and give and give. That is not the case. I worked hard. I put money in savings. I saved, and I put every bit of it into that store. And I shared my tax returns. I share with everybody how much money I lost in 2023 because of that store and because people sought to get me closed down. And honest was, I could have kept up the fight. I could have done it, but I chose nope. Sometimes God gives you a different path. God, I'm trying to be more in tune to what he's telling me, and because I'm kind of a fighter, not like fighting with people, but in making something happen that where all the signs are that you shouldn't do this. And I'm trying to learn more to okay, listen to the signals. Like when I was house hunting and a house, I put in an offer and it didn't go through. The old Danny would have been like, no, I'm going to make this happen. We're going to get this house. But this time it was like, okay, all right, it's not the right house. And then when the right house presented itself, it was like, it's hard to describe the feeling, but it was like, this is the one. This is the one. This house was loved. It was filled with love. And this is our house. And it's worked out very well. It's 11:30 in the Netherlands. Well, thank you for being here. Thank you so much. Oh, my mom's here now. My mom's here now. Sorry, I got to catch up on the chat. My little turtle. Oh, he's a little guy. he's a fancy schmancy turtle too. He's an expensive guy. He's I forget the artist. Let's see. John Christian, Pitcairn Island. I even left the price tag on of what I paid for him. He's one of my little special guys. Yeah. Sit up there, make people smile. Yeah, I've learned a lot of lessons over the last couple of years. I will tell you that with the store, I blew through my savings. I have no savings account anymore. Like, I'm doing okay, and YouTube's still doing well. But if I could go back, I do have regrets. I wish I had really sat down and thought things out just a little better. But then, I mean, we all have to learn things by going through them. I just tend to go through some big things and learn some hard lessons. But it's okay. This year's been a whirlwind. I cannot believe it's November already. I really went into this year with some pretty big plans of things I wanted to do and ways I wanted to like do some different videos than what I normally do. And like, boom, here we are in November and it hasn't happened. So I'm still, figuring out like, where did this year go? We're already talking about taxes for next year. And I'm like, what? No, what? That's craziness. But I, over the last year, also got involved with a group of YouTubers, successful YouTubers, and have been learning from them and, learning, because the YouTube algorithm is a really tricky thing. And so like somebody, I'm going in person to estate sales and places, and I get people saying, well, Danny, we haven't seen you. Why are you still making videos? I'm like, yes, every other day there's a new video. But the algorithm with YouTube has changed such that if you skip a video after, it comes up as recommended, you don't watch it because you go watch something else, YouTube's going to keep sending you what you're watching. And then you have to go look for those other videos. I wish I could figure out how that all worked. I think it was about, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, about a year ago, they changed it to where like your subscription channels all showed up, like right after the, like, here's what we recommend you watch. And then it would show, here's what's new. That went away. So if you want to go see your subscribed channels, you have to go over to the little left column and you have to go down to subscriptions and then you have to go through. So that changed a lot. And it's been a distracting year. There's been a lot of stuff on YouTube that isn't normally there and still is. I'm waiting for it all to go away. I really am. And that has been, it's been a tough year for YouTubers. I will tell you that, unless, you talked about things that, people were tuning in for. But I've gone through about 3 different periods where I had like these mass unsubscribe events. So that's why reaching this has been like, just, I still am like, pinching myself that it finally happened, because it felt like it was never going to happen. And it's like 3 steps forward, 2 steps back. I would watch the numbers, and then I'd watch the numbers go back down, and then I watch the numbers go back up, and then I watch the numbers go back down. And it's just been like grueling over especially like the last 6 months. But yeah, now it's like, okay, I probably won't even pay attention to that too much for a while, until I get like, close to 150 or 200, or I don't even know how YouTube works, if it gets easier as you go. But it's really, YouTube is not about the subscriber number. It's really a vanity number. It really is. And I'll like openly say that it's just like, we know it's a number that people pay attention to. Advertisers pay attention to. Potential sponsors pay attention to. Like the 100,000 is the magical number. You also get a dedicated support person at that point, and you get what they call the play button, which is a plaque that shows your accomplishment. And I'm not about trophies and winning awards and like that kind of stuff. But yet, as I said in the beginning, like some of you weren't here because I went on an hour earlier than I said I was going to go on. But I have a hard time. I have a hard time accepting compliments. I have a hard time accepting awards and that kind of thing. It feels uncomfortable. It really feels uncomfortable to me. But I'm going to take this one. I'm going to take this one because I know how hard I've worked. And they say, you've made it when you have haters. Well, I've made it. And I still there's people that hate me so much, and I still just wish I knew why. I just really wish I knew why, because I'm always self-examining, and I'm always, how can I be a better person? How can more people feel that I'm in their court, like I support them? And it's been a hard lesson that there are just some people you can't. There's just some people who choose to hate. It's just a ugliness of the soul, if you will, and they thrive on it. It's like a drug. And social media has really, really boosted those fixes for people, let me tell you. So I've also had to learn to really focus on the good comments and the good messages and ignore the ones that are tearing me down. And now I read them. Don't get me wrong. It's very important to read what your audience says, but you have to take it with a grain of salt and look and see, is there just one person out of thousands that are saying this, and all the, the 99% are saying something completely opposite? You have to listen to the 99%. So I'm working so hard on that. But a lot of times, it's like with the people say things that they learn what your little sensitive spots are. If I get one more comment about telling me I should whiten my teeth, I think I'm going to scream. So here, let me tell you something about that. I am very, very aware that I have a yellow tooth. I'm very aware of it. In fact, can you see there's a line through it? You know what that line is? That is a dentist trying to fix a defect in my tooth. He made it worse. I have an absolute phobia of dentists. I've had some very bad things happen in the dentist chair. And therefore, the last time I had to go have dental work, I had to be sedated. Now I have a fear of being sedated because they actually pulled a tooth they weren't supposed to pull. So trust me, I spend a lot of money on products and things to whiten my teeth. I'm very, very aware. I don't need to be told that I have some yellowing of my teeth and that I would look better if I had white teeth. I don't need to be told that. But I'm absolutely not going to a dentist for a procedure that is optional. So love is harder than hate. Love is harder than hate. That's a fact. That's a fact. That's a very profound statement. You really have to work at, it's easy to love lovable people. It's really, there's people like, yeah, love them. It's very, very difficult to love difficult people and unlovable people. Let me tell you a story about something that happened yesterday. It's happened yesterday. I was in Goodwill filming and I needed to use the restroom and it was locked. So I had to go find an employee to let me into the restroom. And I found this woman who was sweeping the floor. And I said, "Excuse me." I said, "Could I get into the bathroom?" And she kind of snarked at me at first. She says, "I need to finish what I'm doing first." I was like, "Okay, no rush." Thankfully, it wasn't a rush at that point. And so she finished sweeping and she went back and I talked to her a little bit on the way to the bathroom and she was telling me how she hoped the bathroom was clean because it was her job to clean it. So I made a point when I walked in, I said, "The bathroom is beautiful. One of the most beautiful Goodwill bathrooms I've ever been in. Thank you so much." Her face lit up. Like, I swear I saw into this woman's soul that nobody ever told her she was doing a good job. So I came out of the bathroom and a little bit later, somebody dropped some glass all over the floor. There was this guy, he was juggling like all of these champagne glasses. I'm like, dude, just get a basket. But anyway, he's bound and determined. I'm like, okay, he's got it. Well, he goes to walk off and two of them fell out of his arms and landed on the floor and he walks away. And the same woman, she comes up with the broom. And I'm like joking with her. I said, "Wasn't me. It wasn't me." And she goes, "Oh no, I didn't think it was." And I'm doing the whole clean up aisle 4. And her and I we got to talking a little bit. And she was talking about, she was thanking me for being kind to her. Gosh darn it. Why should anybody live in a world where you're surprised when somebody's kind to you? Why? Why do we live in this world? Anyway, she broke my heart. She really did. And she was telling me how hard it was, to get by, and that people were so awful and they just left her all these messes. And but by the end, I felt like we were friends. And Goodwill has a thing here where you can go in and you can say something good about an employee. And so I've gone in and made a report so that she gets some recognition, because God bless her, and she was probably 10 years older than me, and just working hard to keep up the store. But yeah, so my message and all that is just a little kindness. I just want to make it you might think it doesn't matter to somebody, but say something, compliment somebody. Just say something nice. Say something nice to the checkout clerk who's ringing up the groceries. Say something nice to the grumpiest of people. The grumpiest of people are probably hurting. They're probably there's just something going on in them that life is just hard, because sometimes life is just hard. And those are the people that you can reach with love and kindness, and just try it. If you get rejected, oh well, you tried, because not everybody's going to accept it. But you never know how planting that little seed can really, really, really make a difference for somebody. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to catch up on comments now. I really am. There are too many inconsiderate people out there. I try to be kind to cashiers, stockers, cleaners, and all service workers. They keep the world running. They really do. Everybody's got a job in this world. Everybody's got a job. Okay, I'm catching. I love that you guys like you know each other and you have these conversations. It doesn't cost anything to be nice. You are so right. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think so. Going back. Um, so this it's not really a course. It's a community of YouTubers. And one of the things they teach is like you really, really need to know who your audience is. You need to know who is that person that you're making videos for. And I think that is one of the keys to how I've made it to this point so well is I was making these videos for my mom. I was making these videos for my grandmother. Like that's where I started is like teaching seniors to sell on eBay. So I knew how to explain things. I knew how to break things down. I need things broken down for me. Like if somebody just spews a bunch of instructions at me or a bunch of information, I'm like, I need it like break down. Give me the and so I try to do that. It was odd going from making instructional video to just making the thrifting video because believe it or not, 80% of the people who watch thrifting videos are not resellers, have no interest in reselling. They just want to shop. And so I've had to like kind of fine tune things for that. So I try to give the information for those that want the information, and I try to do the entertaining part for those who just want the entertainment part. And I think that's been a good mix that I will continue on because it seems to be working. Andrea says, I'm a nurse and patients thank me for being kind. I tell them I'm supposed to be kind. Yeah, but sadly it's the exception, not the rule nowadays for kindness. And we've gotten to where so many businesses manage to stay in business without being kind and customer service and all those things that used to really matter. Like people would choose a business that was customer focused over one that just got the job done, even though they might have been efficient, done what needed to be done. That kindness factor was a big deal and still is to a lot of us. I think, baby boomers, my generation, we still remember those times. Younger generations, they never really grew up in that, so they don't give it as much credence. Case in point, I had a veterinarian hospital that I went to for all of my, needs for dogs, guinea pigs, birds, tortoises. I spent thousands of dollars at that vet facility, and I had some really great vets. Don't get me wrong. Once you got into the vet part, really great vets. One of the last interactions I had with them was, long story short, there was a discrepancy in a charge that we were kind of hashing out. I had not agreed to a pretty huge cost, and they did it anyway. And I was like, we got to come to something here because I did not sign off on you doing that. So anyway, long story short, I know, too late for that. Priscilla, one of my tortoises, was sick, and I knew it was an emergency. And I called them and I told them this is an emergency. And they're like, what are her symptoms? And I'm telling them, oh, that can wait till tomorrow. And I'm like, it cannot wait till tomorrow. Well, they're like, well, you have a balance with us. So, that's why they weren't letting me come in. That little interaction, no matter how good the vet would have been, I changed vets. The last vet we went to has been absolutely amazing. And it started at the receptionist desk, the person making the appointment for us, the whole 9 yards, even in asking for the payment on a ridiculously high bill. The way they went about it made me want to give them money and do the services that they were requesting. So thank you, Melissa. Melissa has been with me for a very, very long time. Melissa helps me with so much. Melissa, I'm going to give you a big shout out, Melissa. Melissa catalogs everything you see me buy in a video. Melissa transfers that to a spreadsheet so that I have every item that I have ever purchased for resale. I can go to the video clip where I purchased that item, and someday I'm going to figure out how to use all that footage. That's terrible. But if it's there, and she does that for me. She's watched every video I've ever created. So thank you, Melissa. You know what I can do? I think. Okay, stand by. I think. Oh, wait a minute. No, I have to do this. I have to do it over on YouTube itself. Stand by. Okay, this you might. Okay, mute. I can. I think I can. Yep. I can gift some memberships. I am going to gift 5 memberships. That's all they'll let me do right now. So it's random. I don't get to choose who gets them, but you will now get a notification if you were chosen to get a free Niche Nation 1-month membership. There are different levels. I think it just puts you in the first level. So it's the middle level where I start getting into the teaching part more. The first level is more of a support part. You get access to videos earlier. You get special emojis, a fun few things. And I do some members only stuff. As I said, time has gotten away from me, and I owe my members some catch up stuff. So I have a castle video coming very soon. I also, if you are in the top level, if you are in the, isn't this horrible? What's the name of my, is it all, what's the name of my top level membership? Oh my gosh, help me, Chelsea. What's my top level? What is it? Oh my goodness. Stand by. I gotta wait for the lag. Save me. Aww. All in. Is it all in? I thought all in was the middle. Is it all in the middle? Full access. It is full access. Yes, full access. Thank you, Chelsea. Thank you. So that really is my teaching coaching level. And if you are in that level, please send me an email. I have something for you. The email is thenichelady@gmail.com. YouTube doesn't give me any way to contact you. It's crazy. I wish they would add that into the membership thing. But I need you to email me if you're in that level. I will check to make sure. I do see who's in that level, but I don't have your email addresses. So send me an email. I do have something for you. Thank you for sticking with me when I have been so horrible about keeping up on some things, but I have some really big plans to take us forward. 2025 is going to be amazing. I've learned so much, and I want to share that with you. All right. I didn't come here planning to say anything but thank you, and I hope you know, like, anybody can start a YouTube channel, but a YouTube channel doesn't do anything unless you have people who become supporters of that channel. And I have so many of you, and I am so, so thankful. You guys, you give my kids a really good life. Like, when I separated in 2017, my husband And I had just opened a business in 2016. I mean, literally, we had just opened this business. Our grand opening day was Black Friday of 2016. And obviously we had the store for a few months, getting everything in and put together. It was a consignment store. And I loved that. I loved that store so much. It was supposed to be the thing. I called it the time machine shopping experience. And it was a concept of, we were working with eBay. When I tell you I have sat down with the chief technical officer of eBay, I have. We were working on software. My ex was a programmer. We were working on software that integrated retail with eBay in a new way. So we wanted to be a consignment store and also have everything on eBay. So we had this whole process. The items would come in, and the software, when we put the item into inventory, we would take a picture, and now that item was also ready to list on eBay. And then when you checked out, you'd scan it and it would come up on the computer, and it was also security because the picture would come up and you made sure that nobody switched a tag and the item as it was supposed to be. And it was really great. And we were working with eBay to make this happen. And then the store itself wasn't set up. People didn't have booths. Everything came in, and it was kind of the Amazon model, or like when they do their fulfillment by Amazon, where you pay by how much space your items take up. So that way, the store could be merchandised in a way that was super shoppable for the people coming in the door. It was an experience. So you literally came in and started walking back through time. So it went by decades. So you walked in contemporary, and then you'd go into the 90s, and then you'd go into the 80s and the 70s and the 60s and the 50s and the 40s and the 30s. And then boom, you're in the early 1900s. And it was so fun to put that store together. And I loved it. I loved how it turned out. I loved how it was happening. I loved my consigners. We had a 24,000 square foot building. It was big. We were going to hold auctions in the back. We were working with an auctioneer at the time to come run the auctions. It was great. It was going to be great. Sorry, guys. Darn it. I never wipe my nose on camera. You're just getting me today. I had a 32-year-old store manager. And the night before Thanksgiving, my husband took me out to dinner and proceeded to tell me there in public that he wanted a divorce. And I was shattered. It wasn't a great marriage, but the thought of being on my own at this particular point in life, we still had 2 little kids, was terrifying. It was terrifying. And then I found out that he was in a relationship with the 32-year-old store manager. And I was threatened that if I fired her, he wouldn't finish the software. So not only was this all happening, I had to continue working side by side with the both of them. It was absolute torture. I was trying to keep it together, get this new store up and running, put on a happy face. But I was dying inside. I was literally dying inside. And then I went away. I went to my daughter's for Christmas. And I came back, and they were sitting behind the counter, snuggled together, watching the little TV. And I just walked up to them. And at that moment, I said, now those who know me don't know, I don't swear. I am not a swearer. But I said, get the out of my store now, both of you out. This was December. This was before Christmas. This was December of 2016. And he left, and he proceeded to move in with her and left me in a house with our 2 kids that I could not pay for. And obviously he had no intentions of paying. So we got evicted from the house shortly thereafter. And me and the kids moved into a little teeny tiny condo and lived on mac and cheese for some time. But I was determined that I was going to keep the store and I was going to bring it to fruition. And I was trying to find another programmer to come in. Well, the piece that he didn't finish was the accounting piece, the piece that actually charged the consigners for their stuff. So Danny's selling stuff and I'm just paying out checks because I don't know how much to charge them for their actual space. So I got to where it was becoming a real struggle. I was trying to get it all figured out. And then divorce attorneys came into play. And I got told that I had to come up with a value for the store because I had to give him half. Talk about putting a knife into your heart. And I was like, no, he gets nothing from this store. And that's when I decided to close the store. And it absolutely broke my heart because I know that store would have been a success. And it was a long-term plan, of potentially having eBay buy the software, because that's what eBay did. I don't know if they still do it, but that's what eBay did. They would work with softwares, let the software prove itself, and then they would purchase the software, much like they did Terapeak, go way back, PayPal, all that. That was our big plan. That was we called it the $5 million plan. That was retirement. And so that was a pretty brutal year. We got into a custody battle because he didn't want to pay child support. So that was brutal. And most people don't know this about me. I am a huge advocate for women who are going through divorce cases. It's not something I share a lot, but because I have been through the court systems, and family court always leans to the side of the one who's got the money. I'm not going to say it's just fathers, because that would not be correct. There are women who do this too, but it's pretty male dominated when you get into where there is these type of battles, because a lot of times you're dealing with abusive men, and abusive men fight for custody way more than a normal-headed man who understands putting his children's best interest first is what's important, and they work with their exes and part ways. So I started working with women who were victims of domestic abuse because I'd been through it, and it was a place. And I always okay, thank you God for bringing me through this, because I have a place of empathy and compassion that somebody who hasn't been through it can't possibly understand. And I still do that. And I mean, eBay is what I know. eBay is what got me through. eBay is what reselling made it possible for me to survive that year. And that year was pretty much just surviving. That was a survival year. And then I decided I didn't want to just survive. It was time to kick it into gear. I did go work at a thrift store here in Las Vegas. I was doing a podcast on the Vegas Video Network. because through all of this, I was still teaching. I was still teaching eBay. And I was doing my own podcast, and I wanted to interview someone who owned a thrift store. So I brought this woman on, and afterwards, she asked me if I could just come do a consultation and look at her eBay department and see what they could improve. And that turned into her asking me to actually come and be hands-on, because she suspected that the person who was in charge of the department was not doing what they were supposed to do. And so I did, and I discovered that, yes, she was correct, that this person was listing things on their own eBay account, if you will. So she needed to fire that person and asked me if I could step in temporarily until she got a replacement. And then that turned into like full time. And then she asked me if I could manage the thrift store. So that kind of like worked into this whole huge thing. And then it was like, no. This is like, it was $12 an hour. And I was working, 20 miles from where I lived. And it was, I finally had to like, no, she was an awful woman to work for as well. But again, I am so ridiculously thankful for the experience, because I got the experience of running a thrift store. I got the experience of working within a nonprofit, and that thrift store was inside the building of the headquarters of another nonprofit. And so I got to make friends with those people and learn more about how nonprofits work. And that's when I was setting out to form the Niche Foundation. And you've probably heard me talk about the Niche Foundation in the past. So I went in thinking I wanted to do this, and I wanted to do it for the abused women and help them get on their feet by getting them set up. I wanted to set them up with computers and cameras and everything they needed to run an eBay business, and get them inventory to get started, and continue teaching. I worked with a teen moms nonprofit in Vegas for a while, and did some teaching there. And I got the whole nonprofit thing started because somebody came in and said, if you like do this, then you can get grants and you can get help, and all. I'm like, okay, well, that sounds really good, because I was just doing it out of my own pocket. So we set it up, and she came in as a partner and helped pay for some initial costs. We filed. We were an official nonprofit in the state of Nevada, but then you have to get your federal 501c3 filings, and that's a very complex. So it's not the same when it's like you're just forming like an animal rescue or something very, very simple. What we were starting was a very complex, more of a corporate type nonprofit that involved people and services, and there's a lot more requirements and all of that. So again, long story short, we went through a year of dealing with attorneys. And then the person who went into this with me started demanding money. Well, you don't get a paycheck for helping to run a nonprofit. You have to do something. There has to be a position where you actually spend time in place of working another job to qualify for getting any type of a salary. And so I was like, can you do bookkeeping? And she's like, well, I'm not very good with numbers, but I can try. And I was like, no, no. That will not work. And then so we dissolved that, the board voted her off. And then it just became like so ridiculously complicated and expensive to try to do the nonprofit thing. I put it aside. I do still plan to revive that one day. But now's not the time. I just do the work I do on the side. And I don't make it public because I'm not doing it for views. I'm not doing it for notoriety. I'm doing it because I genuinely feel everything that I've been through in my life is for the purpose of using that experience to help others. Like that's my life philosophy is we are not put here to selfishly gain. We are not put here to selfishly just live our life in a little bubble and just swim in things. We are put here to share our talents and our gifts and our energies, and everybody's got strengths and weaknesses, and it all works like a fabulous chain link fence, very strong if we all work together that way. So that's what I believe, and it's what I still do, and it's where I spend time when I have the time. Is still doing that, but it's not something I do publicly, because it's a very sensitive area too. These women that are in shelters and these women that are going through these court battles, it's a very scary process, and a lot of these exes are very scary people. Um, I've I've worked with women who've had their children ripped away from them. And how do you get somebody in a business mode when they are grieving the loss of having their children? Well, I've been through that. So I've been able to kind of coach and help through that. And I don't even know where like I'm going with this. I feel like I want you to know that part of me. And I'm hoping maybe I get through to some of the haters who think I'm just this horrible, awful person who had a nonprofit and now doesn't have a nonprofit, and that I was just taking money from people. It's like, no, every penny and some. When I was doing my sales and I said a percentage goes to the Niche Foundation, it absolutely went to the Niche Foundation. It went battling paperwork and attorneys and all of the legal processes involved, thousands and thousands of dollars, and then also helping women, because I will never stop doing that. We are the sum total of what all experiences we've had. That is true. Yeah. And if anybody, I should say this, if anybody is listening to me right now and you are that woman going through that, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. If even just to have somebody who understands what you're going through and how hard it is. I know everybody says just leave. It's terrifying. If you have kids, it's even more terrifying. If you're in a court battle going through that, reach out to me. I know some things about the family court system that you only learn by going through it. I trusted the system. You can't do it. There are things that you have to do to protect yourself. Yeah. And then, yeah, so, when you have lived in mental and or physical abuse for years, that changes your brain. You believe the things that are meant to put you down. Most people that are abusive are insecure, sometimes mentally ill, awful people. Like, not, yeah, again, it's those love the unlovables. Loving unlovables doesn't mean you have to give them a hug and spend time with them. It simply means that you give them space to be who they are. You don't have to take abuse. You don't have to put yourself in bad positions. Sometimes people get confused by what it means to like love others. And sometimes it means helping those that were affected by that person to help them move on. That can actually be loving the unlovable one as well. But yeah, so I spent a number of years with those messages of you're nothing. It's really funny because all of the years I did eBay and was making our little extra income, I was told it meant nothing. It was nothing. You can't look at it as income. Look how much time you spend on it. Look, look at all this junk we have in our house. Like, this isn't a business. You're just playing. It's a hobby. I mean, I heard that for years. When we got into divorce court, all of a sudden, I had this phenomenal business and this ability to make all of this money. And why he shouldn't pay child support because I could support myself. Yeah, so there was that. But I think that was also the catalyst of really having to look at what I was doing and look at the numbers and go, wait a minute. I do have a successful business. I can make a career out of this. I don't need to work for $12 an hour. I can do this. And so I kind of took it and ran with it. And here I am. Here I am. And I do. So a lot of YouTubers decided to do YouTube and then become a reseller, because YouTube kind of has that effect. I mean, you're out there and then, people want to buy stuff from you. There is that effect. You can become a reseller off of doing YouTube. I consider myself a reseller who then turned to YouTube, because I've been a reseller almost my whole dang life. I started when I was a teenager, and I'm gonna be 58 this year. So many years gone. But yeah, that's what got the whole thing going. And here I am, 100,000 subscribers later. Who would have dreamed? I never would have dreamed this was like even something that I would do in my life. That is true, Trina. That is true. You guys, I'm going to go back and read these because I'm going to go back and read all of this chat because, like I said, I so often I focus on the negative things that are said about me because I still have that piece of me that's still those little ingrained messages that, first it was my brother growing up who would beat the crap out of me. He would chase me around the house with baseball bats and knives. I was a latchkey kid. I was alone. And I could remember, he'd lock me out of the house and I would sit on the porch just waiting for my mom to get home. Like every set of headlights that would come around the corner, I would hoping it was her. That's honestly when God introduced himself to me in my life. I will just share this. We moved to Whittier, California, and the house we moved to had some neighbors with another girl that was my age, and family saw me sitting on the porch and they invited me over. I never forget them. Sister Mac. Their last name was McPherson. And we got to be friends, me and their daughter. And they asked if I could go to church with them on Sundays. And my mom said, sure, yeah. And that's it. That's where I was introduced to Jesus. And it saved my life. That literally saved my life. And I don't think by any coincidence that we moved into that house and those people live next door. That's my testimony. And it was a Pentecostal church. And I remember wanting a tambourine for Christmas because I wanted to play the tambourine, the music and everything, and the energy. It was oh, this is great. But that's how, and that's stuck with me because there's many times, if you look for the evidence, it's there. So I heard this. I just shared this with somebody the other day. So I heard Tony Robbins talking to this fella. They were in a room. There was like an office library kind of room. And Tony Robbins says, look around. Look around. Let me get this right, because I got this wrong last time. Hold on, let me get this right. So you got look at that. Look at it. Like look around this room. Look at all the brown. That's what he did. He says, look at all of the brown things in this room. And the guys, you could see him looking. And there was a lot of brown in that room. It's like looking. He says, okay, close your eyes. Guy closes his eyes. He goes, tell me something in the room that's red. The guy could not answer it. See the lesson here? He was so focused on looking at the brown. He was so focused on looking at what he was supposed to look at that he didn't see the red. And that's what we do. That's how the brain works. We focus on looking for a particular thing. Sometimes it's like the reason why not. And then we miss the red. So I just thought that was like so powerful. Like that is how our brains work. If you then start opening up and start looking, like, so now I very clearly see paths that I took where I was told no, but I did it anyway. My marriage was that. Early in dating. All of the red flags were there. They were all there. I can clearly look back and see what was to come. And I ignored them because I was tired of being a single mom back then. And so, yeah, I made it happen. And I stayed with him for 21 years. And it was horrible. I'd had a way out, didn't take it, was determined. But then, okay, so I did it. And out of that, I got 2 of the most amazing children a mother could ever ask for. I have 4 children altogether. They're all amazing. But out of that marriage came Noah and Rachel. Noah has so profoundly taught me about life so differently. Sorry. Again, most people don't know this. We'd been married for 3 years before we decided that we were going to have a child. Because we'd both been through divorces. So we're like, 3 years and then like, we got this. And started then trying to have a baby. And I went through several miscarriages, one of which was at 12 weeks. So you get past the point, where everybody says, oh, now you're home free. Nope, lost that one. And I just resolved. I just gave up. And we moved to Arizona. And I've never shared this publicly. Things weren't great. Things were really hard. He didn't treat me that great. But I had lost custody of Jordan to her dad. And that's why I say I know what it's like to have a child ripped, by a corrupt court system. My ex literally paid a court evaluator to find in his favor. And so I lost custody of Jordan. And that, I remember that day so clearly. It was, I have empathy for parents who have lost a child. Forget where I was going. Yeah. So we're in Arizona. And so I have lost custody of Jordan. And that's an important piece for you to understand where I'm going with this. And then I'd had another miscarriage. Things weren't good. And I literally sat on my bed and I cried out to God and I said, why? Like, why? What am I supposed to do? Like, you don't want me to be a mother. And I don't know if I'm supposed to even stay in this marriage. It's like, am I supposed to leave? Am I supposed to leave? Is this marriage done? And I was looking for an answer. And the answer was, I was pregnant with Noah at the time. So here I am, pregnant again. I did not get my hopes up. Wasn't even thinking it was going to happen this time. I get to the 20-week mark and go in for the ultrasound, and I wanted a boy. I wanted a boy really bad because I had 2 girls and it was a boy. And so Noah was, I call him my miracle child. Like he was an answer. He was the answer that it wasn't time. It wasn't time to give up yet. Noah was born and Noah was not developing the way my other children had developed. And everybody just said, he's a boy. Boys develop slower. It's all fine. He didn't sit at a normal time. He didn't crawl at a normal time. He couldn't eat solids. We had a friend who had a baby that was 1 month older than Noah. And she's eating food at the restaurant and stuff. So we tried to give Noah this little piece of bread and we almost had to do the Heimlich maneuver. He gagged and choked and it was awful. No, it just kept going. And we went to Disneyland. And it's so funny. They're staying in this hotel and we were going to get in the jacuzzi. Now, Noah's at this point a little over a year old. We were going to go get in the jacuzzi and the jacuzzi was broken. This still gives me chills. The jacuzzi was broken. It wouldn't get hot. And I'm like, oh man, I really wanted to get in that jacuzzi tonight. So I get home a week later and I find out I'm pregnant again. That was Rachel. And I was like, oh my gosh, no way is lightning gonna strike twice. There's no way. But sure enough, here comes Rachel. So this is a big deal because, well, number one, had I gone in the hot jacuzzi that night, there's a chance that, I would have lost the pregnancy. But the other thing is Rachel was born. And I brought her home from the hospital and I'm sitting in a chair and we go to introduce her to Noah. And he walks up with a big smile on his face. He walks up and he literally open hand smacks her across the face. And I yelled at him. Still, I can see his face to this day. He's 2 years old. I yelled at him and his face just went into this so distraught, sad, he didn't understand what he'd done. And I went online and I'm like, is my child a psychopath? It's why? Why would he do this? And I don't even remember the forum I was in, but it was a woman, a counselor in Florida, who started asking me some questions. And, she's asking me these questions and I'm telling her his developmental problems and this and that. And, she goes, you need to go find an early education program and go get him assessed. I think he's on the spectrum and he might have sensory disorder. He's sensory seeking. I'm like, oh. So sure enough, we find a program, get him in it. And they do find that he had developmental delays. It took months for them to actually gauge him on the spectrum. And at that point, they put him as Asperger's. I don't even think they call it Asperger's anymore. But our entire lives changed Our house was set up as basically an occupational therapy room. He had, um, uh, what was like, it was this big, 2 sheets sewed together with foam blocks in them, like for him to like bounce and roll in. We had different like slides and a ball pit and all of these things, because the occupational therapy came 3 times a week to work with him. They had to teach him to eat solid foods. I remember the little chart. The little chart started out with um, with mouse bites. You got to take a mouse bite, because he would only eat macaroni and cheese and pizza. The kid would not eat anything else. He's 5 years old at this point. And there was mouse bite, then it's a cat bite, then it's a dog bite, then it's a horse bite, and it goes all the way up to elephant bite, so they're like starting to learn to like eat stuff. Like, you'd never know that was like, he eats everything now. But it was a time, it was just a time. And very time consuming. And I'm so grateful that I got to be a stay-at-home mom with him, and online selling. That was part of it. It was great because like, oh, I'm going to sell costumes. The kids were my little models for all the costumes, and they loved it. It was dress up time. So we got through it. So Noah and Rachel, and having children in your later years, I was 40 when I had Rachel. Having children later in life is so much different than having them young. So much different. We're in this phase now. They talk about their futures and they talk about where they want to move to and all this stuff. And I'm like, am I supportive? I am, but inside I'm kind of crumbling a little bit and dreading it. And I can't even imagine, them not being in my life on a daily basis. Wow, sorry guys. They're just super great kids. And I'm happy to say, Jordan and I went through a lot when she went to live with her dad. I fought for 4 years because she would tell me, I want to come home. I want to come home. And her stepmother was really abusive. And because I was in a custody battle, nobody would listen to the mom. And I couldn't get her out of there. I could not get her out of there. And we'd go to court and they kept fighting, in his favor. And it got to where it was like she'd been there long enough. Well, she's established in school and we don't want to disrupt her schooling, which made no sense to me because they disrupted her schooling to take her, when she was 11. So we had a period where I think she really, really blamed me for not being able to save her, as any kid probably would. And she turned 18. She got out of there. She went to college. She did some things. We started talking and stuff again. And then she had a period of like a year where she just disappeared on me. And then, gosh, it's been several years now. She's been back. And we have a stronger relationship than ever. And she's had to go, through a lot of stuff in her life now. And, and I still, as a mother, I sometimes feel like you moms know, like when you can't save your kid from harm, like that's the worst feeling in the world. Like, I'm a mama bear. Like, touch my kid. Like, that's it. But I couldn't do it. So she's got to become the woman that she is. And I'm so thankful she's turned out very strong and she's worked through, her trauma and stuff. So I feel like, between her and I together, there might be like something there in the future. We've talked about it. We've talked about a podcast together. There's a lot of kids on the spectrum. A lot of kids on the spectrum. Yes. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, like, let me see. Make sure I haven't like ignored any questions. You guys, what you see is what you get. You know what? I get comments sometimes about I act certain ways when I'm like shopping with somebody else. Well, of course they do. It's so different. Like I'm sure you do too. When you go to the grocery store alone, you go to the grocery store and you like you do. But if you're with a friend or something, it's a different experience. You like it changes your mood, right? So yeah, I probably do act different when I shop with my mom or I shop with somebody else. So that's just a given. But I am me. My friends in the chat who know me in person can back up what I'm saying. And unfortunately, not everybody in my life who has put themselves out there as my friend has been my friend. And actions speak louder than words on that. Friends work things out privately with stuff. That's all I'm going to say. Friends don't use your success for views. And I'm very thankful. I have some tremendously good friends. I gotta learn those red flags sooner. I really do. That's my quest. Learn the red flags. Don't ignore the red. It's a whole thing. If somebody shows you who they are, believe them. I make excuses for people. I'm like, no, they're just having a bad day. Oh no, I'm sure they didn't mean to do that. Yeah, they did. Chelsea is another one. Idaho Jum. I'm going to give Chelsea a shout out. Chelsea has left her family to come and help me through times in my life. She's come to help me move. She came and stayed at my house when I went to California to go to Jordan's wedding. There's just about nobody I trust to take care of all of my animals. And Chelsea, you were it. You were it. It was almost one of the kids was going to have to stay behind if I didn't have you. So thank you for being willing to do that. Yeah, and it's not that people, aren't capable. It's a lot. It's a lot to keep all of those critters alive and well and fed and know the signs of something going amiss before it goes amiss and all of that. But yeah, so thank you, Chelsea. And Dawn, I don't know if you're still here. Dawn has partnered up with me to form the Knit Shopping Network. If you haven't found your way over to the Knit Shopping Network yet, I would invite you to join me over there. That's mainly where I go live. I go live on Sundays, and then I go live on Mondays with Dawn. And Dawn and I have forged a really awesome friendship because it's one of those things, people around you get tired of hearing about all your entrepreneurial stuff. Like they want to talk about other stuff. Dawn and I can sit up till the crack of dawn talking about, YouTube and business and the next great adventure and all of that together. Like we don't get tired of that. And so thank you, Dawn, for being my friend and being so much like me in that way that you just let me. That's right. She's getting ready. She's getting ready for a Knit Shopping Network show as we speak, right when we're done here. So sorry. Back to it. Load your shop. And I am going out to New Jersey to go spend some time with her in the next couple of weeks. And I'm so looking forward to that because number one, I've never shopped in New Jersey. And number two, I'm super excited to spend time with my friend and go to all of her little secret, what do you call those, honey holes of stuff and see things and learn more about jewelry and all that good stuff. So yeah, exciting times. But that being said, I've been in like crazy editing mode too. For me to take a trip, I have to get like 2 weeks ahead on video. which means I have to like edit every single day. So I've been doing that. And I feel, oh my gosh, the estate sale I went to yesterday. So this one particular company in town, American Family Estates, he has a VIP service. It's not just for me. It's for anybody who wants to pay the fee to be a VIP. So it's basically you get in while they're still setting up the sale. There was so much good stuff. And I literally, like, I went to work. Like, I was emptying the shed with them and, you know, pulling out all the Christmas stuff and going through it. And it was so dusty, dirty. It was hilarious. But I'm like, they're like, you sure you want to do that? I'm like, oh yeah, I'm in my element. This is great. This woman had been like a 40-year collector of stuff. Oh, I don't want to give too much away. It's going to be a good video. And then after that, I went to Goodwill. So, and then tomorrow I have another estate sale to go to with Silver Linings. It's the other great estate sale company in town. Oh, I do know what I wanted to say. Anybody who, I don't have any in here anymore. The Val Bergman art, I had a sale of all of that art. You guys were here. You helped me name the art. He has more, but it's bigger pieces. If anybody's interested in a larger piece of her artwork, please let me know, because he is asking me to help him sell that stuff. So I might go and film at his storage unit of all that art, if there's any interest in that. Like, this is the stuff that she had in the gallery. Right. Like, yes. The other thing that's coming up, whatever happened to my other daughter that I never talk about. So my other daughter and I are estranged. I was a horrible mother. I flat out say it. I have tried to make amends with her, but she is unwilling to leave the past in the past. Therefore, we just live separate lives. I love her. I love her dearly. And I hope maybe she watches this and knows how much I love her. And I'm proud of the woman she's become. But can't go back. I cannot go back and change the mother that I was. I can only go forward and be the mother that I am now. So I do take responsibility. Yep, I do. I don't make excuses. I was not a good mother. I regret that very much. As I said, everybody says you share too much. If me sharing can help somebody, then so be it. If it's used against me, so be it. I'm sure there's people typing furiously in the gossip columns like, oh, did you know this about her? Yes. Okay, so the other thing that I'm having the opportunity to do is get some access to Goodwill executives, managers, employees, you name it. They've asked me what I want, and I said, I want to get my viewers' questions answered about Goodwill. And so this is what I ask you. So if you're watching this, don't necessarily put this in the chat, or if you put it in the chat, also put it down in the comments when I end this. I am collecting questions to get answered. Ask me the hard stuff. I am going to ask them the hard stuff. I am going to ask about the CEO's salary. I'm going to ask about the pricing and the loud music and all of those things. So please ask your questions down in the comments so that we can address the hard stuff. The cool thing is they are open to hearing it. They want to hear how they can better serve their customers. Now, granted, this is the Goodwill of Southern Nevada, but I'm also going to get some answers about how the whole corporation works and why your Goodwill works different than this Goodwill and all of that. And then they're also going to give me some behind the scenes access. So hopefully you will be seeing the bins soon, and you will be seeing, how Goodwill works. I'm pretty excited about that. Yeah, ask the questions. I'm going to ask them. It's really, really fun, kind of funny. So this one particular store I go to has a manager who's a little full of himself. I'll just say that. I don't think he's a viewer. And I've tried to kind of talk to him, about some things, and he kind of just brushes me off. Well, the other night, one of the executives was actually working in the store, and I said, "Hi, Brian, how you doing?" And when I started, I looked, the manager's face was like, like, I tried to tell you, buddy. It's like, I'm kind of your secret shopper in here, so be nice. No, Yvonne, it's true. It's true. I was a dumb 17-year-old mother. Okay. I was selfish. I didn't really want to be held down being a mom. I wanted to go out and play with my friends, and I let my grandmother raise my daughter for the most part in the first years. Oh yeah, I was a terrible mother. I would get frustrated with her. I would call her names because I was frustrated with her. I fully admit it. And I've asked for forgiveness. That's all I can do. And all I can do is be a good mom from here on out. That's it. And I hope, and again, I say this because I know I'm not alone. I know I'm not alone. I know there are moms out there feeling guilt for how they parented their children and wish they could go back and change things, and you can't. You have to accept that what happened, take responsibility, and ask for forgiveness and forgive yourself. That's it. Guilt isn't going to do anything. I fortunately, got to kind of a do-over with Noah and Rachel. And I feel like I've been a pretty good mom to them. Best I could be. No, she was not, because her and Jordan don't have a relationship either. She has segmented herself away from the family. Yep. Nope. Unfortunately. And I hope she's doing well. I really do. I hope she's doing well. Well, I'm watching the clock because I don't want to step on Niche Shopping Network toes. I hope everybody will come on over and support Dawn over on NSN today. There will be a new video out tomorrow. If my videos are not coming up on your feed, just type in the Niche Lady and you'll find the channel and you'll see I am putting up videos. There are videos to be watched. I don't know why YouTube doesn't give them to you, but YouTube is always changing things. Oh, that's the one thing. Business always changes. This is the thought I'm going to wrap it up with. Because my heart is still anybody who wants to be a reseller. I want to support that. I want to teach you. I want you to know it's not easy. I'm not going to be one who sits, oh yeah, you can make $1 million doing this thing. It's hard work. It is hard work, but it is rewarding work. And the reason that there are things that I leave on the shelf, that is because they don't bring me joy. And I know I'm supposed to be finding things for my customers, but if it never gets listed, what good is it? It doesn't do the customer any good. So I find things that will motivate me to take the pictures, do the cleaning, do the listing, put it on the shelf, stare at it for months if it doesn't sell, and keep going. That is what I do. And I want to encourage everyone, like, you really can find joy in doing this. You don't have to buy the things just because they might make you some money. If you can't find anything else to sell, then by all means, do what you have to do to get started and get the money flowing. But if you focus on things that bring you joy, that comes through in your work. It comes through in what you do, and it won't feel like work. That's the cool thing. Like everything I do, the thrifting, the estate sales, all of that, it is my job, but boy, it does not feel like work. And that is a beautiful, beautiful place to be in. So our children have a part in choosing us. It's so true. Yes. They are not born with instruction books. That is for sure. That is for sure. Yes. Yep. I am right on the verge of doing something new in my reselling. So right now, the only place I've been listing is the nicheladyshop.com. And I've been putting some clothes over on eBay. And I just hired a virtual assistant service that instead of doing it like by the piece, I'm just like, they're just getting an hourly rate for working on numerous things with my business. But one of them is going to be taking the Shopify listings that haven't sold and putting them now into List Perfectly. And then I can cross post them out wherever they need to cross post. So I'm going to be using List Perfectly pretty hot and heavy again. List Perfectly, for those that don't know, they literally have the technology to write the description for you now. You put the pictures and a title and give it some information. It's like your description. Boom! You just have to proofread it. It's a beautiful thing. So if anybody was like worried about like, I don't know how to write this up and all of that, List Perfectly now does that. So I do have a code. If anybody wants to try List Perfectly, you get 30% off the first month. I don't even know what the code is. It's in all my descriptions. What is my code? Help. Okay, wait. Is it here? Wait, here it is. It's. Why is that link just a link? Wait a minute. Why is my code not in there? I'm pretty sure it's just the niche lady. I think you just put in the niche lady when you sign up to get that. I don't know. I gotta find that. I'll make sure it's down in the descriptions. See, I'm terrible about that kind of stuff. If I was like pushing this stuff out there like I'm supposed to, like, the marketing people do, then I would be like so much further ahead. But also, I'll tell you guys, anything that I promote, even though I may be an affiliate, yes. Do I get a little cut when you sign up? Yes, I do. But I wouldn't just tell you about it if I didn't use it myself, if I didn't believe in it. I only will promote services and products that I myself believe in. And trust me, my inbox is filled on a daily basis with companies who want me to put their product in my video, to promote it, to become an affiliate. And I turn them all down because it's not something I use. Like, why would I do that? I can't do that. That's dishonest to me. So if I talk about it, if I use it, I'm going to give you my honest, true opinion. Always. Also, I want to just give you a heads up. If anybody is thinking about coming out to the Boss Reseller Remix in March of next year, when tickets go on sale, I will have a discount code. So don't go rush out and get your ticket without coming here first, because I will have a code for you to get a percentage off for your ticket. Thank you, Melissa. So horrible at that. But wait, you just put listperfectly.com, but there has to be another piece to it to be connected to the 30% off. And I feel like YouTube cut it off in my description. Or do you just use the code the niche lady? Okay, maybe that's it. The code is the niche lady. Got it. Something like that. All right. I'm watching. We're still good. Yes, and NSN is going to be represented at the Boss Reseller Remix. We will have a booth upstairs in the vendor room, and you can meet Julie and that guy Mike of One Way Vintage, and I think Dawn's going to be there. I think so. And Chelsea will be there, and any other hosts that join the network between now and then hopefully will be there. So you get to meet all of us and have a good time and learn about reselling and be part of the reseller community and come to Vegas. I may actually plan a little thrifting, a little day with Danny thrifting for all those who attend as a bonus as well. So there you go. Keep an eye on that. Indeed, indeed, indeed. All right. Again, truly, I'm with all sincerity from the bottom of my heart, thank you. Thank you. I'm so thankful to have a channel, that has reached the success and have the ability to give my kids a good life and to help others and to keep doing what I do. And it's all because of you. And I'm here. I hear you. I see you. I read your comments every day. That's me leaving the hearts. I don't have anybody else do that. I read every one of them because it's important for me to hear from you. And with that, I'm going to sign off. Head over to the Niche Shopping Network. I think if you go there now, the chat has already begun, and then she'll go live momentarily. But with that, everybody, I almost said go find your joy. Go be profitable and make it fun. And I say that because I mean it. You can make it fun. All right, everybody. Good night. Thank you.